What is going on, everybody? CJC presents WandA Workouts and Anime, and it's been a while, but we are back, and today we are adding at Bandai Namco because these changes need to occur when transferring over One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 to the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles. Alright, so these changes definitely need to occur. I figured it would be a better time to record this video now, before the return of the One Piece anime, because perhaps then we'll get some news. I'm not too sure, because as of recording this, it is Sunday, March 30th at 9:13 p.m. So if anything happens within this next week, I am going away for a work conference, so I won't be available. But what I intend on doing with this video is I'm going to state out what needs to be improved, some of the things that come to my mind. Of course, you will leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, and I will react to your comments in the next video, assuming there isn't any new news regarding the return of the anime, and perhaps some inkling as to who is going to be the new DLC for One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. With that being said, Bandai, if you are watching this, here are some things that need to be improved on before we get this new improvements in terms of quality. Just so everyone else knows, I just have general notes, no script, so I do apologize if I stutter, like I probably have been up to this point, and just general thoughts, so of course I may ramble. With that being said, let's get started with the first one. And one of the easiest things I think can be addressed is increasing difficulty, especially in Treasure Log. I play on the hardest difficulty available in the game. However, the only challenge I truly experience is the original True Pirate Warriors mission, and of course Special Log 2 after a certain point, with Kobe's Combat Chronicle after a certain point, which we'll talk about that in a bit as well, and Special Log 3. Outside of that, those are the only real difficult missions, and of course the story mode. So in terms of level overall, the story mode on the hardest difficulty is level 20. However, it does stay constant, at least in my mind, when it comes to Treasure Log. I would love to play some of the other earlier missions like in East Blue and Grand Line, but I'm just way too fucking overpowered. And depending on what this new DLC comes with, whether it's just characters or perhaps new soul maps, because if it is new soul maps, our characters are going to be broken enough as is. We do like some sort of challenge, right? So I definitely would think an increased difficulty in Treasure Log to perhaps match the level of where we are currently at. Maybe at least level 25, at least get us there. The next thing I would love to see are new 4-player missions. I think one of the most forgotten aspects about One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 is the online component. A lot of the missions, especially in Treasure Log, and especially the 4-player missions, are very easy just to do by myself. I think initially when their game first released, I had a lot of difficulty with True Pirate Warriors, I believe, where I could not get past a C rank for the life of me. And then I did some online, and I think I got A rank, and then I was eventually able to get to S rank by myself. But once I was able to get to that part, I mean, the game was kind of pretty easy at that point, with characters being high level and you understanding the game and stuff like that. But with 4-player missions, it's a lot of fun to play with other people. It really is, especially the bounty missions. Bounty missions are by far one of my favorite missions, if not my most favorite mission in the entire game, especially the one in New World, where you do have to collectively, with friends or people you're playing with, have to get to a total of 5 billion. However, I would love to perhaps maybe tweak that mission a little bit, right? Perhaps decrease the bounties, because if you're playing by yourself, at least for me, it's fairly quickly to get to that bounty total, depending on who you're playing with, right? Because if you just fight a bunch of commanders, regular commanders, with someone like Roger, for example, you will easily get to that 5 billion fairly quickly, and then you just fight a Yonko or two. I mean, the mission's basically done. So it does get a little boring in that aspect, but it's still a lot of fun to fight against a ton of enemies. So I would love to see something new incorporated. Hey, maybe collectively we have to get 10 billion, right, and incorporate some of the DLC characters as well. So there's a lot of things that we can do to increase the enjoyment of the 4-player missions and just add 4-player missions, because like I said, it is a very underlooked aspect of Pirate Warriors 4, because honestly, I don't even think the new DLC for the special log even has an option for 2 players to do a split screen. Did you guys forget that? Or perhaps not know that you can play locally with someone? I don't know how it looks. I intend to do gameplay or have gameplay of that in the coming weeks. But like I said, this week I'm going to be at a conference for work, so I won't be able to record. But, you know, perhaps when I get back, I'll have some gameplay footage for y'all, because I don't even know how it looks, but it's possible to do. So we'll see how that comes out. I've been talking about special logs for quite a bit. A big quality of life improvement for Special Log 2, aka Kobe's Combat Chronicle, is the ability to change characters through the halfway points. The biggest issue I have with Kobe's Combat Chronicle, first off, the story is really nice. You know, you're chasing after the Straw Hats with Kobe or as Kobe, blah blah blah. And then there might be like a little secret boss. You know, you fight Luffy, Gear 5, and or you might fight Shanks, right? After you get past level 50, level 51 and on, it's survival. You fight till you drop, and then once you lose, you go back to level 51. However, the biggest issue is, of course, as everyone knows, you're consistently on one character and one character only. Which doesn't make sense, because why the fuck would I want to go all the way back to level 1 with a new character when I can just start there? Because what happens when you lose, let's say you get to level, I don't know, 88, and you lose. Right? You start back at level 51 and you start with low health. Why can't we just start back at low health, back to level 51, and have the option to choose a new character without having to start all the way back to level 51? If you want to perhaps entice players to, hey, you know, if you want to see it, here's an option for you to do a new game. If not, you can continue with a new character, right? I think I have on Kobe's Combat Chronicle Shanks, Film Red Shanks. I would love to pick up as Garp or even Rayleigh, but I would have to start all the fucking way back to level 1, and honestly, I don't really want to do that. So it's just a very minor but better quality of life improvement that can be added for Kobe's Combat Chronicle, because there are some side missions exclusive to Kobe's Combat Chronicle that incorporates the DLC characters. Like for Yamato, you team up with Yamato, I think you fight Big Mom and Kaido. There's one where Rooftop Luffy is fighting Hybrid Kaido. There's one, I think you fight against Smoothie and Cracker, if I'm not mistaken, as a side mission. Like, there are a ton more examples. I think there's a mission with X Drake, if I'm not mistaken, right? But those side missions we're not going to be able to see in Treasure Log. So I would love to see more of that, but, you know, perhaps as a different character. And that's regarding Special Log 2. What about Special Log 3? The weird thing about Special Log 3, and like the hardest mission in the game, the new True Pirate Warriors, I think it's like Legendary Pirate Warrior, or whatever the hell it's called, is that they don't have dialogue for some reason, right? So regular True Pirate Warriors, let's say you're playing as Luffy, right? You fight against the 7 Warlords. You know, Luffy's gonna have dialogue with Doffy, Crocodile, Law, Jinbei, of course, and so on and so forth, Hancock, Buggy, and Mihawk, right? He's gonna have some unique dialogue. But when you defeat a character in the Legendary Pirate Warriors, right? So Ace, Marco, Whitebeard, there is no dialogue, right? Just very silent. The only dialogue you're really hearing is, you know, Roger talking and Garp talking, if I'm not mistaken, right? Those are the only characters speaking, which honestly is a bit disappointing, because very rarely do we get to see win quotes for said characters against new DLC characters, right? Like Luffy fighting against Roger. I'm never gonna know what his win quote is against Roger. I will never know unless they update that feature, which I'm very confused as to why that was excluded. Maybe I'll make a whole like video short on it, but very weird that that's not included in there. Alright, so here are the 2 big things that I think need to happen. 100% need to happen. Those other things were nice, very quality of life improvements, small but perhaps major in some aspects, especially the increased difficulty and perhaps the ability to change characters in Kobe's Combat Chronicle. But these two things need to be there. They need to be there. First, let's talk about new maps. Not every final mission has to fucking be at Marine Ford. True Pirate Warriors, Marine Ford. Legendary Pirate Warriors, Marine Ford. Give us something new, right? Like, I know the Paramount War was this major ending, right? The major end stage, I guess, for pre-time skip. But give us something unique to the Pirate Warriors games, right? Let's take a look at something like WandA Musou, right? They have unique characters, right? But you know, they might have, I don't think they have an exclusive map, but this can be something unique for One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, whereas they have a unique stage specifically for One Piece, right? And then WandA Musou has mobile suits very exclusive to the series, which I believe those mobile suits actually appeared in other series, like other anime variants, even like SD Gundam, I think. But you can correct me on that if I'm mistaken. But let's get the same treatment for One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, right? Just because a certain stage has not been done yet, or has not been covered in the game story, doesn't mean it shouldn't be included, right? I would love to see something like Impel Down. I would love to see something like, something off the top of my head, some of the movie maps, right? Because, you know, some of the characters that we got to vote on were movie characters, so I would love to see their respective maps be incorporated into their release, so to speak, right? Like Uta, her not getting the island that the movie takes place, Film Red takes place in, is a bit disappointing, right? So I would love to see something very exclusive for One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, and it gives us a very fresh take, fresh viewing, right? Because honestly, I'm so sick and tired of fucking seeing Marine Ford stages. I love Onigashima, but I'm just kind of sick and tired of seeing that as well. Right, there are other good locations in One Piece, but there are locations that you can make, the developers can make, that's unique to them. Like, why not they think to themselves, you know what, I would love to see Gear 5 Luffy fight against Big Mom at this location, right? And like this vision that I have to see them fight against each other, like I would love to see that vision that they have for One Piece instead of it being so, you know, to the T. Like the only quote-unquote unique stage that they do have is of course their version of Onigashima, because, you know, as we know with Onigashima, it's more of a castle than anything else. So, I would love to see something different for that. That is just my opinion. And of course, one of the biggest things that needs to be incorporated, and I feel like very easily could be done, is cosmetics. Give us new fucking costumes. Like, why is only Law and Hancock the only characters that get a Musou outfit? In Pirate Warriors 3, all the Straw Hats got a Musou outfit, which I believe it was exclusive to the pre-time skip versions of themselves, that they all get a Musou outfit. So why not we get the same for the Straw Hats in Pirate Warriors 4? Now, this could be very biased due to the director of Pirate Warriors 4, right? Because they did change directors, right? And also Law was the only other character to get a new DLC cosmetic. Why haven't we gotten new DLC cosmetics since? Like, I feel like that's an easy incorporation to do, and maybe I'm like mistaken on that, but I've even seen mods on YouTube giving I think Sanji his Onigashima outfit, giving Zoro his Onigashima outfit. Mind you, they don't have the new moves that they incorporate, but it's just a different look. Like, I don't understand why we're not getting that. Fuck, I don't even understand why we don't have Akainu as Fleet Admiral outfit, right? His white outfit, him being scarred up and stuff like that. Like, why is it just the Marine Ford outfit? That makes no sense. Fuck, why do we only have regular Rob Lucci, right? Like, I want to see CP0 Rob Lucci. I think that would be so sick. Now look, I don't know if they're going to do something new with the DLC, right? Like, maybe they're going to give us a whatchamacallit, right, his awakened fruit, but I don't even know, because one of the fucking DLC options that you could vote for was Kaku. And who the fuck would actually vote for fucking Kaku? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I definitely think cosmetics is such an easy incorporation for DLC, and it's such a way to, you can make so much money back, I'd imagine, with DLC, with cosmetics as DLC. Fucking $5, charge us a DLC pack, or cosmetics pack. Musou cosmetics for all base straw hats. Musou cosmetics for the Yonko. I think that would be sick. Fucking seeing Shanks in a Musou costume. Are you kidding me? That would look fucking insane. Seeing Mihawk in a Musou costume, mind you, he's not a Yonko, but you know, basically one, right? Because we're not counting Buggy. Dude, that would be so fucking sick. And let's take a look at the DLC, which kind of fucking frustrates me. Excuse me. It frustrates me so bad. I'm messing up my words, right? Kobe gets his base costume, his regular Marine costume that we see in Water 7, which, hear me out, that doesn't fucking make sense at that point in the story where he's at in Film Red, because at that point he's Captain Kobe. He is Captain Kobe when the Reverie takes place, right? Because, like, at that point he is Captain Kobe, so why not give him the Captain outfit? First off, I love Kobe's Bad Pirate outfit. I think it looks really sick on him. However, why the fuck are we not getting his Captain outfit, dude? Like, it looks sick. Like, I would love to see that incorporated. And because I believe Kobe's taunt is him taking off the black jacket, hell, we can still have Kobe's base costume, right? But with the Captain jacket over it, and then him just take the Captain jacket off, and then he just has his regular, you know, Water 7 costume, right? But it just doesn't make sense why his other base costume is not Captain Kobe and just regular fucking Water 7 that's already in the game. I think it's just fucking lazy. Shit, Garp not getting his old man costume is very frustrating. Like, I would love to see Garp take off the white jacket and him have his freaking blue dress shirt on. I think that would look sick, dude. I think that would look so sick, man. Right? And this is not even so much cosmetics, but I honestly think it is so lazy. You hear me right. It is so lazy to give Rooftop Luffy, or excuse me, to not give Rooftop Luffy his Gear 4 transformations with Advanced Conqueror's Haki. Look, if you're gonna do a rehash of a character, don't fucking half-ass it. Right? Because literally the only purpose that character served, Rooftop Luffy, was Red Rock, Rock Gatling, his base combos incorporating Advanced Conqueror's Haki, okay? That, and then Gear 5. Gear 5 is the draw of that character, which, look, I get it. I love Gear 5. I think it's a really fun transformation. I really do. But let's not forget the fact that, you know, Luffy also had these other transformations on the rooftop, which incorporated Advanced Conqueror's Haki. And had new moves. He had new moves that he showcased on the rooftop. Mind you, they're not huge, right? They're not that impressive, but, or, you know, that much different, but, like, give him the ability to, like, hey, I love playing Gear 4. I would love to have that Advanced Conqueror's Haki option. I would. But I don't get to have that because, you know, the main draw is Gear 5, right? The character select screen, it's half Luffy, half Gear 5. Right? The reason why they incorporated those new skills for Luffy was to be sure that you can stay in Gear 5, or just new skills in general, I guess, right? Is that, what was it? The more enemies you hit, the longer you're in full force burst. The more combos you get, your hit total, the longer you're in full force burst. Right? And that's just, first off, one of that is Gear 5's base abilities. Right? The longer your combos are, the longer you stay in Gear 5. right? The main draw was literally Gear 5 without making Gear 5 a character on his own. And it's just fucking lazy. It is. So while I would love to see a new Zoro, I don't think a new Zoro requires a new character slot. New Zoro can just be a skin. Give him a skin with Enma and incorporate some different moves. Same thing with Sanji, right? Doesn't need a new character slot. It could just be a full force burst. It could literally just be a full force burst of him utilizing his infrared abilities. Look, Bandai, if you're listening to this, don't half-ass it, right? Incorporate these cosmetics, right? Because people will purchase it. I will fucking purchase it. I would. Let's recap. I've been on a bit of a rant, and I do apologize. If you made it this far, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. But let's talk about the recap of this video. First off, I want to see increased difficulty in Treasure Log, because outside of Special Log 2, 3, and main story missions, hardest level, Treasure Log is very easy. I want the Treasure Log to meet the standard of what our current levels are at now. Second, I want new 4-player missions. I love 4-player missions in general. I want to see some new ones. 3, ability to change characters in Kobe's Combat Chronicle after I die. I don't want to start at level 1. Start me back at level 51 with low health, and that is perfectly fine. Because every time you do that, and I'd say this before, but every time you do that, there is an option to regain health as one of your special abilities for the next 5 levels. Let's see that again with a new character. And I do want to see side missions, right? Because Special Log 2 is the only real way I get to see the new side missions with DLC characters. So I think it would be nice to see that in Treasure Log. I didn't dive into that too much because I just talked about that with Kobe's Combat Chronicle, but let's see some new side missions with the DLC characters that we see in Special Log 2. I want to see that in Treasure Log. This is a minor one, of course. Character dialogue in Special Log 3. I want to see Luffy's win quote against Garp. I want to see his win quote against these other characters. The new DLC characters as well. I do want to see that. Next up, new maps. Not only do I want to see new maps from the story, but I want to see new maps that are unique to the developers and that mean something to the developers. And of course, last but not least, cosmetics. And of course, last but not least, cosmetics. Right, we want to see not new characters, but we want to see new variations of them. Give us Fleet Admiral Akainu. He was in Pirate Warriors 3. Why is he not in Pirate Warriors 4 as a base costume? Give us the Strong World costumes. Why aren't they in this game, right? And the Strong World costumes were fucking sick, especially if Shiki gets confirmed as DLC. Like, if he gets voted in and we don't get Strong World costumes, that's very fucking frustrating. High fucking key, that is frustrating. Alright, those are my thoughts. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Again, I'm going to check the comments in about a week. So, like I said, filming this, it is March 30th. On a Sunday, I'm going to check the comments next week and see what everyone has to say because I am very curious. With that being said, I'll see you in the comment section below and, of course, in the next video. Peace.